Brothers and sisters in humanity, Assalamu alaikum. I should say that I would have liked to be with you. I wanted to be with you from day one of your historic conference. This is the first Jewish Africa conference. And I cannot but say congratulations. Congratulations to the Association Mimouna and the American Sephardi Federation for organizing this timely event. Mimouna, as I was told, seeks to educate Moroccans about the Jewish culture that used to flourish in the Moroccan land, and also to encourage harmony between Jews and Muslims. And I was also told that thousands of people have attended Mimouna's Moroccan Jewish Days and also the Moroccan Jewish Caravan. I cannot but quote simply the New York Times describing the Mimouna conference commemorating Jewish victims of the Nazi Holocaust and honoring King Mohammed V for his refusal to assent to the persecution of Jews during the Vichy occupation as, and quote, the first of its kind in an Arab or Muslim nation and a sign of historical truth triumphing over conspiracy theories and anti-Semitic dogma, end of quote. When I mention it to some friends that some Jewish community in Africa are amongst the oldest in the world, people were astonished. And we need therefore to do more to show that there are African Jewish identities and enable their voices to be heard and their contribution to peace, justice, and tolerance to be heard. I cannot but warmly thank the American Sephardi Federation for its preservation of the rich mosaic culture of greater Sephardic communities as an integral part of the Jewish experience. Brothers and sisters in humanity, yesterday at the United Nations, we remembered the victims of the Holocaust. And as stated by Secretary General Antonio Guterres, as we remember, we also reaffirm our resolve to fight the hatred that still plagues our world today. He reminded the world that it is necessary, more and more, that we sound an alarm. It is just 3 months since a man armed to the teeth entered the Tree of Life synagogue in Pittsburgh, shouting, "All Jews must die." It was the worst anti-Semitic attack in the history of the United States. Inevitably, where there is anti-Semitism, no one else is safe. Across the world, we are seeing a disturbing rise in other forms of bigotry. Attacks on Muslims in several societies are on the rise, sometimes even outpassing other forms of hatred. Rohingya in Myanmar, Yazidis in Iraq, and many others have faced persecution simply because of who they are. Intolerance today spreads at lightning speed across the internet and social media. The United Nations and the Holocaust Outreach Program has activities in dozens of countries, and we are strongly committed to expanding its reach. And we must stand up to those who disseminate hatred. And the Secretary General added, I have asked Adama Dieng, my special advisor on the prevention of genocide, to assess the efforts of the UN system in countering hate speech and to devise a global plan of action to deepen this essential work. My brothers and sisters in humanity, 74 years ago, men with an ideology justifying in their eyes that some of their peers are not considered as equals or even worthy to live by their side simply because of their race or religion, have advocated their eradication of the land. This operation of destruction was ambitious, for that they call it final solution. It was a failure. Despite the extermination of 6 million people, the Jewish people have survived, and with them a nation, this common will to live together, to paraphrase our first president in Senegal, Léopold Sédar Senghor. But the evil of which the final solution was carried struck well. Millions of human lives have been destroyed, and Jewish survivors will have worn and still bear the stigma of this horror forever. There is a huge memory work that has been undertaken for a long time, but great vigilance will always be required. Systematic documentation is an important aspect, but we must also be careful not to maintain a memory that cools a disembodied memory. This danger lurks as time passes. In addition, we live in a world where the border between the virtual and the real fades. The filmography of the Holocaust, which has played a vital role in the preservation of memory, does not escape this danger itself. After 1945, humanity cried out, "Never again." Then we went through the death camps in Cambodia, Srebrenica, and the 100 days of the genocide of the Tutsis in Rwanda. Even closer to us, the deadly fury in Syria reached a number close to 500,000 dead, mostly civilian, including women and children. We have also witnessed the killing of Yazidis and Rohingya, who have been targeted because of their religious or ethnic identity. My brothers and sisters, I have no doubt that you would agree with me that education for tolerance and respect for diversity is the key to prevention. This noble mission often runs up against the fanaticism, passion, and ambition of individuals. But we do know that how to set themselves as defenders to defend their values. Let us act together to make our common values triumph. Their name is respect for life, respect for difference. It is at this price that we will be able, on the occasion of commemoration days like the one we observed yesterday at the United Nations, to look at the hideous past with the full conviction that it will not be repeated. And for this reason, as Professor Ephraim reminded us, I embarked 3 years ago in a program which started from Morocco Fez and which culminated on July 14, 2017, with the launch of this plan of action for religious leaders to prevent incitement to violence that could lead to atrocity crimes, by which I mean genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. Also from Morocco, I was part of those who drafted the Marrakesh Declaration. The Marrakesh Declaration is one of the most important documents which has been adopted. Why? Because the Marrakesh Declaration is a fresh reading of the Charter of Medina, which was the first document adopted by the Prophet of Islam, proclaimed by the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. From where? From Medina. And I'm sure you all know what was the name of Medina at that time. Medina names was Yathrib, and Yathrib was a Jewish city. And when Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, left Mecca, he was welcome in Yathrib. All the rabbis in that city wanted to host him. His camel landed on a no man's land, but all rabbis there brought food, drinks, and everything. And I reminded Professor Ephraim a couple of years ago that the other companion of the Prophet, when they fled Mecca, they ended to Abyssinia, which is the Ethiopia of today. And there, the expression of the right of asylum was for the first time affirmed, because the emperor of Abyssinia said to the Mecca people, I will not hand over these people to you, because they believe in the same God we believe, the God of Abraham. And that is to say that without the generosity, without the tolerance of the Jews and the Christians, maybe Islam would not have become what it is today. And that is one of the reasons why I champion it and support it strongly, the work of Sheikh Abdullah bin Baya, who received the support of King Mohammed VI in Morocco. And at the end of last year, December 30th, I was awarded the Visenyam Erudite Award in Kerala, India, where I contributed to spread that message of peace. And that is that message of peace you have been trying also to look into during the 2 days you have been gathering in this place. Because at the end of the day, showing that you have Jewish identities spread throughout the continent of Africa, a continent which has been going for many decades, going through a number of violent conflicts and still facing those conflicts. When I sounded the alarm before the Security Council in 2013, it was because of the situation prevailing in Central African Republic, where Muslim and Christian were being killed. And what was happening was simply a manipulation of religion by some cynical politicians. And we have seen also in a country like South Sudan, also people from various ethnic groups killing each other. And it is therefore important that we recommit that today more than ever, while as Secretary General Guterres was saying, at the time we are hearing troubling, hateful echoes of eras long past, poisonous views are penetrating political debates and polluting the mainstream. He warned us, and he stressed the need to remember the lessons of the 30s and the Second World War. And those lessons, on October 18, when I was in Vienna, invited by the European Union to address the high-level group of the European Union to fight racism, xenophobia, and all forms of intolerance. I reminded them that the Holocaust did not start with the gas chambers. It started long before the gas chambers, and that the Holocaust was a process, and one could have certainly prevented it. But the world at the time, and Europe particularly, remained inactive, and we all know the result. So therefore, we need to pay attention to the early signs. When the Jews were being named after animals' names, that was already the beginning of the dehumanization of those people. So hate speech and hate crimes are direct threats to human rights. And we need, therefore, to make every effort to support efforts like the one the Mimouna Association and the Sephardi have decided to do, and to bring you all here, coming from various countries, Algeria, Tunisia, Uganda, etc., to make sure that you join also our efforts in view of making this world a better place. For those who have followed the ceremony which took place in the UN, the Secretary General announced his decision to tasking me as his special advisor to bring together a team to develop a UN-wide strategy and urgent global plan of action against hate speech and hate crime. History teaches us that no region is immune from atrocity crimes. Atrocities have been committed in all regions of the world and continue to be perpetrated in both conflict and peaceful contexts. The violence does not come out of the blue, but is usually the end result of a process that has included deeply rooted and systematic marginalization of and discrimination against groups of people based on their identity, including their religious identity. It is crucial to counteract the narrative, for instance, of blaming migrants for a country's internal problems. When, about a week ago, I was the guest of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the Bundestag in Germany, I was very pleased to see the commitment of the German government to fight anti-Semitism in that country, throughout the whole country. Today, any anti-Semitic act in Germany is brought before the court, is prosecuted. And we need that to happen everywhere around the world. We need from now on to no longer tolerate any form of hatred. We are one world, we are one humanity, and I would like once again to say to all of you, congratulations for a well-done conference, a successful conference, and you can count on my support. I thank you.